In the ancient city of Eldoria, where towering spires cast long shadows over bustling bazaars and the desert winds carry whispers of forgotten sorcery, one man stands as a legend among mortals. His name is Eric Hunter, a trickster whose cunning outshines the brightest stars, a rogue whose name is spoken in awe, from the humblest stalls to the grandest palaces. In a world where magic and treachery intertwine like threads in a tapestry, Eric is no ordinary soul. He is the master of deception, the keeper of a satchel said to contain relics forged in the fires of ancient gods. But even Eric, with all his wit and guile, could not have foreseen the darkness that would descend upon his life, a darkness named Victor Shade, the Mystic Sorcerer, a being whose very existence is a riddle wrapped in terror. Eric's tale begins with a friend, Samuel Brooks, a merchant whose caravans brave the perilous trade routes that stretch across deserts and mountains. Samuel's visits to Eldoria were moments of celebration for Eric and his beloved wife, Luna Sterling. Each arrival brought treasures from realms unknown, silks that shimmered like moonlight, spices that filled the air with exotic warmth, and jewels that seemed to hold the secrets of the stars. Samuel was more than a friend. He was a brother in spirit, his generosity as boundless as the sands of the desert. This time, he arrived with a gift that eclipsed all others, a dual-toned diamond, its facets dancing with red and green light, a gem so rare it seemed to pulse with a life of its own. It was meant for Eric, a symbol of their unbreakable bond, a treasure to be cherished above all else. But this diamond was no mere ornament. It was a key to a mystery that would shake the foundations of Eric's world, pulling him into a battle against forces older than the city itself. Samuel's story of the diamond's theft was a tale that chilled the heart, a nightmare woven from shadows and fear. He had been crossing a desolate plain, his caravan heavy with riches, when they stopped to rest beneath a sky devoid of stars. The night was eerily still, the air thick with an unnatural weight. Then, without warning, a ferocious wind tore through the camp, howling like a chorus of vengeful spirits, its force bending the very fabric of reality. In an instant, every man, every horse, every crate froze, transformed into stone statues as if a sorcerer's curse had stolen their souls. A thunderous boom shattered the silence, and from the heavens descended a figure that defied all reason. Victor Shade, the Mystic Sorcerer, hovered above the ground, his bald head gleaming under the faint moonlight, his bulging eyes glowing with a malevolent fire, his thick mustache framing a sneer that spoke of cruelty and power. His black cloak rippled like waves on a dark sea, and his body wavered as if untethered from the laws of the world. He glided into Samuel's tent, his movements silent and predatory, and when he emerged, the dual-toned diamond was clutched in his skeletal hand. With a laugh that echoed like a curse, he soared into the sky, vanishing into the night as if he had never been. The moment his shadow faded, the caravan awoke from their stone-like trance, their hearts pounding with terror. They fled, leaving behind the mystery of the sorcerer and his stolen prize. Eric sat with Samuel in the candlelit hall of his home in Eldoria, the merchant's words sinking into his mind like daggers. The diamond was meant for him, a gift from a friend who had braved countless dangers to bring it to this ancient city. Why had Victor Shade stolen it? Why that gem, when Samuel's caravan was laden with treasures beyond counting? The question burned in Eric's chest, igniting a fire that would not be quenched. He could not let this theft go unanswered. The diamond was his, a symbol of his bond with Samuel, and no sorcerer, no matter how powerful, would take what was rightfully his. Excusing himself, Eric left Samuel to his tales of distant lands, the merchant's laughter filling the air as Eric's mind churned with purpose. He retreated to his private chamber, the heavy wooden door closing with a thud that echoed his resolve. The lock clicked into place, and Eric stood alone in the flickering light of a single oil lamp, its flame casting dancing shadows on the stone walls. From his satchel, a relic of ancient power, said to have been crafted by the hands of forgotten gods, he drew a golden tablet, its surface etched with runes that pulsed with a faint, otherworldly glow. "Tell me," Eric whispered, his voice low but resolute, "who is Victor Shade, and why did he steal the diamond?" The tablet hummed, its surface shimmering as words began to form, each one a revelation that sent a shiver down Eric's spine. Victor Shade was no mere man. Once a scholar of forbidden arts, he had sought power beyond mortal limits, delving into secrets that should have remained buried in the sands of time. His ambition had led him to cross a powerful sage, a man whose wisdom was matched only by his wrath. The sage's curse had transformed Victor into a wraith-like being, his body forever condemned to float above the earth, unable to touch its surface. His once mighty powers, drawn from dark rituals and pacts with forces beyond comprehension, were stripped away, leaving him a prisoner of his own existence. For centuries, Victor had wandered, a specter of his former self, his soul tormented by the curse that bound him. But a whispered prophecy had reached his ears, a glimmer of hope in his endless exile. The dual-toned diamond, the tablet revealed, was the key to his salvation. If Victor could present the gem to Princess Roxanne, a reclusive noblewoman of a hidden Persian enclave, she would trade it for a sacred golden bead, a charm that protected her from a venomous curse inflicted in her childhood. A serpent's bite had poisoned her blood, and only the bead, blessed by a holy man, kept the venom at bay. With the bead, Victor could break the sage's curse and reclaim his human form. But the price was dire. The bead was Roxanne's lifeline, and removing it would awaken the poison, claiming her life in moments. Eric's heart raced as the tablet's words sank in, each one a piece of a puzzle that threatened to consume him. The diamond was his, a gift from Samuel, yet it was now the linchpin of a sorcerer's desperate plan. He thought of Roxanne, a woman he had never met, her life hanging in the balance. He thought of Samuel, his friend who had risked everything to bring the gem to Eldoria. And he thought of Victor Shade, a cursed soul who dared to steal from Eric Hunter. The fire in Eric's chest burned brighter, a blaze of defiance and determination. He would reclaim the diamond, not just for himself, but to prove that no one could outwit the master of deception. But the tablet's warning was clear. Victor's curse made him vulnerable, but also deadly. Unable to touch the ground, he could cast no direct spells, his powers limited to his wavering form. Yet his touch was lethal. A single brush of his hand could reduce Eric to ashes in an instant. Eric's only hope lay in another relic from his satchel, a mystical axe with a blackened blade, forged in a time when gods and men still walked together. One precise strike to Victor's neck would end the sorcerer forever, but miss the mark, and Victor would destroy Eric with a single touch. The sorcerer's curse left him no other powers, but his rage and desperation made him a foe unlike any Eric had faced before. Eric stood in silence, the weight of the tablet's words pressing against him like the walls of his chamber. The diamond was more than a gift. It was a challenge, a puzzle that demanded solving. He thought of Luna, his wife, whose love was the anchor of his heart, now away visiting her family in a distant village. Her absence gave him the freedom to act, but also a pang of longing. He wanted to return to her with the diamond in hand, to see her eyes light up with wonder. He thought of Samuel, his laughter echoing in the hall, unaware of the storm brewing in Eric's mind. And he thought of the city of Eldoria, its streets alive with whispers of magic and danger, a place where heroes and villains were forged in the crucible of fate. Eric's resolve hardened. He would face Victor Shade, not just to reclaim the diamond, but to protect Roxanne from a fate she did not deserve. He would show the world that no sorcerer, no curse, could stand against Eric Hunter. Returning to the hall, Eric found Samuel lost in stories of his travels, his voice warm with wine and memory. Eric's smile was calm, but beneath it lay a storm of purpose. He instructed his servants to care for Samuel, ensuring his friend's comfort, and slipped away to the rooftop of his home. Eldoria stretched before him, its minarets and domes glowing under the moonlight, a city of beauty and secrets. A desert wind tugged at his cloak, whispering tales of ancient heroes who had faced impossible odds. Eric felt their presence, their courage fueling his own. From his satchel, he drew a shimmering cloak, woven from threads of starlight, and a pair of golden boots, said to carry their wearer across the world in the blink of an eye. "Take me to Victor Shade," Eric commanded, his voice cutting through the night like a blade. The boots hummed with power, and in an instant, Eric was airborne, soaring across deserts and seas, his cloak trailing like a conet's tail. The world blurred beneath him, mountains and rivers passing in a heartbeat until he reached a remote island, lost in the vastness of the ocean. The air was thick with the scent of salt and storm, and the sky above was heavy with clouds that pulsed with an unnatural light, as if the heavens themselves watched the battle to come. Eric landed on the island's rocky shore, his boots touching the ground with a faint glow that seemed to challenge the darkness. In the distance, Victor Shade hovered over a stone altar, the dual-tone diamond at its center. The gem's red and green light pulsed like a living heart, casting eerie shadows across the sorcerer's wavering form. His cloak billowed, his body rippling as if caught in an unseen tide. A creature of nightmare brought to life. Eric's heart pounded, but his mind was sharp, his senses honed by years of outsmarting foes. He slipped off his boots, stowing them in his satchel, and removed his cloak, folding it with care. From the satchel, he drew the blackened axe, its blade glinting with a deadly promise, its weight a reassurance in his hands. This was no ordinary weapon. It was a relic of legend, forged to slay beings like Victor Shade, a tool of destiny meant for this moment. "Victor Shade!" Eric's voice echoed across the island, sharp and defiant, a challenge that shook the very air. "Your time is up." The sorcerer froze, his bulging eyes locking onto Anik, their glow piercing the darkness. For a moment, shock flickered across his face, replaced quickly by a rage that seemed to set the storm clouds ablaze. "Who dares challenge me?" Victor's voice boomed, a sound like thunder rolling across the island, shaking the rocks beneath Eric's feet. "I am Victor Shade, the Mystic Sorcerer. No mortal can stand against me." Eric's lips curled into a sly grin, his eyes gleaming with confidence. "Just a man here to take back what's mine," he replied, his tone light but laced with steel. "You stole my diamond, Shade. That was your first mistake. Challenging me? That's your last." Victor's face twisted, his mustache quivering with fury, his eyes burning with a hatred that seemed to consume the air. "You fool!" he roared, his voice shaking the island like an earthquake. "Do you know the power I wield? Do you know the curse that binds me? That diamond is my salvation, and I will burn you to ashes before I let you take it." Eric's grin widened, his heart racing with the thrill of the challenge. "Big words for a man who can't even touch the ground," he taunted, stepping lightly to the side. "Come on, Shade, show me what you've got. Or are you all talk and no fight?" Victor's face turned crimson, his rage boiling over like a cauldron. He lunged, his body slicing through the air like tempest, his cloak trailing like dark waves, his fingers crackling with lethal energy. Eric dodged, his reflexes honed by countless battles, his movements fluid and precise. The sorcerer's hand grazed the air where Eric had stood, leaving a sizzling trail of heat that scorched the rocks. Eric circled, his eyes never leaving Victor, his mind racing to find an opening. "Is that all you've got, Shade?" he called, his voice mocking, designed to stoke the sorcerer's anger. "I've seen street magicians with better tricks." Victor's rage consumed him, his wavering form trembling with fury. He dove at Eric again, his movements erratic, his body struggling against the curse that bound him. Eric's grin never faltered. He knew anger was Victor's weakness, a flaw he could exploit. "Come on, Shade," he taunted, stepping lightly to the side. "You're moving like a drunk camel. Try harder, or are you afraid of a mere mortal?" Victor's eyes blazed with hatred, his voice a guttural snarl. "You will pay for your insolence," he roared, charging with the force of a storm, his arms outstretched, his fingers crackling with deadly power. Eric sought his chance. He sidestepped, spinning to the right, his movements fluid as water. With both hands, he swung the blackened axe, its blade slicing through the air with a whistle that seemed to echo with the weight of destiny. The metal met Victor's neck with a sickening crunch, severing his head in one clean strike. A deafening explosion rocked the island, the ground trembling as the sorcerer's body collapsed, his wavering form dissolving into the air like smoke scattered by the wind. From his neck poured not blood, but shimmering droplets, each one transforming into a ruby as it hit the ground. The island sparkled with their glow, a fortune in gems scattered across the rocks, each one a testament to Eric's triumph. At the altar, the dual-toned diamond lay untouched, its red and green light steady and bright, as if mocking the sorcerer's defeat. Eric stood over the rubies, his chest heaving, his grin triumphant. He scooped up the diamond, its weight familiar in his hand, its light dancing across his fingers like a living flame. The rubies were a bonus, a reward for his victory, just as the golden tablet had promised. The sage who cursed Victor had left a prophecy. Whoever slayed the sorcerer would claim a treasure born of his blood. Eric laughed, the sound wild and free, echoing across the island like a song of victory. He danced among the gems, his heart pounding with the thrill of conquest, his mind alive with the possibilities of his triumph. He could see it now, returning to Eldoria, presenting the diamond to Luna, watching her eyes light up with wonder as he recounted his tale. He could hear Samuel's laughter, the merchant's pride at his friend's victory, their bond stronger than ever. But most of all, he felt the fire in his chest, the satisfaction of outwitting a foe who thought himself untouchable. Eric knelt among the rubies, gathering handfuls of the glowing gems, each one a symbol of his courage and cunning. The diamond was his again, reclaimed from the hands of a sorcerer who dared to challenge him. The rubies were a fortune beyond his wildest dreams, a treasure that would make him a legend in Eldoria and beyond. He slipped the diamond into his satchel, its weight reassuring, and tucked the rubies alongside it, their glow illuminating the ancient leather. The island was silent now, the storm clouds parting to reveal a sky full of stars, each one a witness to his triumph. Eric stood, his cloak billowing in the wind, and donned his golden boots. "Back to Eldoria," he whispered, his voice steady and sure. The boots hummed with power, and in an instant, he was airborne, soaring across the ocean, the island fading into the distance like a dream. The world stretched before him, a canvas of possibilities, each one a new challenge waiting to be met. But Eric knew this was only the beginning. The satchel held more secrets, relics of power yet to be explored. Eldoria's streets whispered of new dangers, new mysteries waiting to be unraveled. Victor Shade was gone, his curse broken, his life ended by Eric's hand. But the world was vast, and its shadows were deep. Eric Hunter, the master of deception, was ready for whatever came next. His laughter echoed through the night, a promise to the world that he would never back down, never surrender, and never let a challenge go unanswered. The diamond was his, the rubies were his, and the future was his to shape.